Attend, learn, and earn. America's largest RV show, Education Days offer specialized training for RV technicians. Electrical, HVAC, weight and tire safety, and more. There's something for every industry professional. Plus, beat the crowds and tour 1,500 RVs on Industry Preview Day, September 15th. Don't miss out on America's largest RV show, Education Days, September 14th and 15th. Registration opens this June at largestrvshow.com.
All right, welcome everybody to another edition of the RV Business Supply Side podcast, sponsored by PRVCA, who's having their Hershey show coming up here in mid-September. Today's guests, we have Jeremy Johnson and Rob Grant with Lightspeed. We'll be your hosts here, Chris Cieto with RV Business and Michael Rheinheimer. Gentlemen, welcome to the Supply Side podcast.
Glad to be here.
Yep, absolutely. So thank you.
Well, Jeremy, as I joked before we started recording, you're sort of a veteran here on the Supply Side podcast. Rob, you're new to us, but wanted to ask you guys a little while back, with Lightspeed, there was an update of how Lightspeed was getting quicker with inventory updates with Forest River, and wanted to ask an update from you guys on how that process has looked over the last few months.
Yeah,
Sure.
I think it's going great. I mean, the challenges with anything going forward is we are asking dealers to switch up their processes a little bit. A while back, Rob, being the guru not only of all things Lightspeed, but he just knows the system so well. Like he could literally jump into a dealership today and cashier stuff. But we did a really cool time study that we took basically a purchase order of a unit from Forest River, and Rob went through and manually did it. And one of the things that's the biggest time, I guess, suckers maybe, is all the options. So there could be, maybe they want the weather package, or they want to upgrade the carpeting, or whatever it is. There's all these different options that there's not a consistent place to put those. So they got to be manually entered, and they need to be in there for the unit. So it took Rob almost 10 minutes to do one unit. And so, and again, it's not like he's never done this before. So, and again, once you start doing something, it's gonna be faster. But then we went in with the new unit import. So basically what we're doing is we're getting all the information from the unit and the back end from Forest River with the dealers. We know their dealer number, we know everything. So it feeds directly into their Lightspeed box. And so they can go into a section called Major Unit Receiving, and they can find the unit. They basically would search it by, say, the VIN number, was what we pre-populate as the stock to begin with. The dealer will then update the stock. But in theory, we're pulling in all those options, all the year, make, and model, all the financing information, the freight, all that information is coming there. So the dealer does have to do a couple quick updates. Like I said, he'll probably put his own stock number on that. They are going to have to hit a button to add it to their P&L, and maybe to add a sales category. But something that took over almost 10 minutes takes less than 2 minutes with our new system. And it's all accurate. It's coming directly from the source. So it's the same information that they get on their multi-page purchase order for that unit. Missing anything on there, Rob?
No, I think you really hit it. I mean, really has streamlined the process, and just got off a call with a dealer, one of our mutual dealers, and they're talking highly about it. They've had great experience with it so far, and just really been a good addition to the process and the integrations.
So, Rob, you have a lot of free time now? Is that what I'm hearing?
No, we've got plenty going on. So,
yeah, and like I said, we're just trying to make it on like you said, Chris, not only more time and taking that time to do something more productive, like talking to customers, but it's more accurate. It's coming directly from Forest River, so they're not miskeying a VIN or any other, they're not putting a misprice in there or something. So now the sales guy goes and sells it, and maybe they lose thousands of dollars because they put the wrong, it was supposed to be 52,000 and they put 42,000. There's all things that can happen when they're manually entering it from there. I think we're going to see some more OEMs adopting to this here. Maybe by the end of the year, not to talk to any anyone in particular, but we need to get some more on there because we need more brands doing it because is the one struggle I said is it is a different process and they've been used to doing it the same way for years and years and years. So we're kind of being this disruptor a little bit in the industry
Yeah,
where we're trying to switch them on that. And again, it's been a little slower than we predicted, but the dealers that are using love it.
very cool.
Yeah, one
Yeah.
one thing I'll even add there as well is, you kind of joked earlier about, hey, all the free time, right? But that's really the ultimate goal that we have in building these integrations is to give the dealer the opportunity to be able to focus on other things in the business. Take away the mundane, the repetitive stuff. And so that's really what this integration does is it takes away that repetitive, data entry process, streamlines that so that they can focus on other things within their businesses.
Very cool. Well, guys, I want to know, is there anything new coming out with other OEMs that you can tell us about?
That's always a great one. We do kind of obviously keep, a lot of behind the curtain of the great Oz, but one we probably could talk about, and this one to me is probably this is way cooler than even the major unit receiving. So we are currently in pilot right now, again with Forest River, on unit registration. So going back almost 4 years ago, Rob was with me. It was our first trip to Elkhart to go visit RV OEMs in January. I think we got 10 inches of snow during this trip, snowstorm. And there, even back then, the theme was a lot of the OEMs continue to have issues with their dealers registering the unit at all or in a timely fashion. And because several things, they need to register it for several things. First and foremost, if there's a recall or a bulletin, they need to be able to send a postcard to the customer to let them know that something is wrong so they can get it fixed. Secondly, obviously, things break from time to time. The dealer, you're going to bring your unit into service. Now they go, I'm thinking it's all ready to go already. And now, even we talk about RECT and speeding up stuff, but I go in there, they do the repair order, they go to submit it, and all of a sudden they come back and like, this is not even sold. Like they don't even know it's been sold because they never registered it.
Wow.
So we're taking that process completely out of the hands of the dealer. In a couple of our power sport OEMs, we have still a better way to do it, but it's still a little bit of manual work. This one is 100% automated. So as soon as the deal is sold and we call it finalized, and we do go by off the pickup date, because again, up here in Minnesota, we have the boat shows earlier in the year. I might buy a camper, but I don't want to pick it up till May or June. So I don't necessarily want the warranty to start. So we take care of all those dates on there. And so we have an API set up so they can go in and look for sales every single day, and they literally take care of it for the dealer. So it's just one less thing they have to worry about.
Very cool. Yeah, that's great. I mean, because as you said, with dealers, they have 100 other things on their mind, and sometimes the details, the fact that you're able to kind of take that off their plate or do it automatically for them allows them, as Rob was referring to earlier about other focuses of the business, continue on to the next sale without having to go back and remember, oh yes, I have to go do this as well. What are some other new products that are coming out from Lightspeed as we head through Q3 and into Q4?
Yeah, I mean, a couple of the fun ones that we've got coming out and that are actually in production today. Really, we've got RevPay, which is one that is one that is really based around credit card processing. So dealerships are constantly, that's one of the things they do, right? I mean, they've got to collect money, and so collecting that through a credit card processor is kind of a necessary evil. With that said, a lot of the times that support doesn't happen the way that we want it to happen. The third party doesn't necessarily support it the way that, we think they should as a dealership or otherwise. And what we've done is actually brought that in-house. And so we now have our own Lightspeed, RevPay credit card processing services, which is an excellent solution for the industry. So
Okay,
we're excited about that one.
very cool.
And Jeremy, I
Definitely.
don't know. I mean, a couple others out there. I
Probably the other
mean,
one would be our sales video coming out. So
yeah.
thinking about automotive and how many years behind we are, this has been out, especially it started in service, and we have service tech video has been out for a long time. So the idea is, we all hear the stories of somebody comes in and all of a sudden they call you up and it's, you're thinking it's one little fix and then it's $3,000 later and you don't know what to do. Well, video can solve so much of that. So the idea first with our service tech video is, if they bring in the unit, they're back in the service bay, they can literally get up there with their phone up in the fender, or if maybe it's inside and they're looking at a door or whatever it is, they can literally go and tell a story and talk about what needs to be fixed. The same thing now as we're launching for sales is we have a mobile app so the sales guy can go in and take a quick couple-minute video and literally send it directly from Lightspeed through a text or an email. But
Oh, right.
again, maybe it's somebody traveling in an hour away, and they just have a couple questions, or maybe there's a little ding in it or something like that somebody doesn't want to drive, all the way down to spend, who knows, 50, 100, a couple $100,000 on some of these RVs. So this is just another sales tool versus, again, you're interested in a unit. Okay, send me what it's going to cost, and here's just a sheet with all the options. We're like, here's an actual quick video of the unit. So we've made it very easy. And again, these are all tools that have been used for years and years and years in the automotive industry and are proven to increase sales, increase repair order revenue, stuff like that. So that's probably a really cool one that's just coming out right now. And then we're doing a lot more with our marketing aspect of Lightspeed now. So we're really beefing up our texting capabilities and kind of like mass texting and stuff like that. So you can do some really cool reports. So I could run a report like, I don't know, everybody that bought a Jayco camper like 3 years ago during this time frame, and I could just send them a quick email saying, "Hey, we got some end of the year specials right now," or something like that. And we've really apped up our email marketing. So now we have a full HTML editor with some AI capabilities in there to help build out some really cool templates to
Oh,
then
awesome.
be able to send them out too. So um, we've really looked at, we have a CRM and we're continuing to work on that, but we've been lagging behind in a few of the other ones, and we've really greatly, came to terms with like these are what we need, and the feedback again on these have been really phenomenal because the difference with our products too is it's all combined within Lightspeed, so you're not having to bounce between multiple systems, which
Yeah.
dealers love. And again, they're using different CRMs, or they're using some email company, whatever. Again, they can do that, but then they're having to download lists and pull it and
Mhm.
import and export, where all of our systems, when it's internally through Lightspeed, they're just pulling all the same data from one database.
Yeah, I like the first thing that you brought up on the service repair side and video. I think that's so helpful because sometimes, I'll bring my car in to get looked at, and, they'll send me a picture of something, and I'm like, I'll be honest, I don't really know what I'm looking at. I'm not a huge car guy. I'm like, yeah, it looks like under the hood of my car. But what am I looking at? The fact that you're able to get a narration of what the issue is, and the tech can tell a story
Yep.
with it, helps that process so much more. And that kind of leads into Michael's next question when it comes to, service and repair, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, definitely. I want to know, is there anything new in regards to RECT you guys can share?
Yeah, so I think Jeremy shared a big piece of it, right? The service video.
Yeah.
That's really been a tremendous boon to be able to help dealers utilize and be able to get customer feedback. Ultimately, RECT is about taking care of the customer and the consumer, right? It's about making sure that they understand the service repair processes, that they understand and get their unit back on the trails to go camping and do different things. So really, I think that's where service video comes into play. A lot of things we've provided as well. We've got this AI piece of it, and there's all sorts of talks and conversation around AI and how we implement that. And we've really onboarded new team that's really been AI focused, and so we're excited about the opportunities that are coming up. Those are some things I think that you'll really start to see come around here, and maybe Jeremy can fill in a few more details on that aspect of it.
Yeah, I think continuing on just the RECT though, but I mean, we look at all the different stopping points. You drop off your unit, and then they're going to come back and tell you what's wrong, and then you got to approve it, and you got to order parts. And there's all these spots. So the idea is, where can we start shaving off a day here, a day there, a day there? Where I think the service tech video is one where, again, if you get a bill, Chris, and it's a couple $1,000s, and you just get a picture, and you're like, I don't even know what I'm looking at. Now you're going to start like. Now it might take a couple days for you to even get a hold of them or to figure out to like go and approve it. Where like if you had a video in an email or a text, you could probably like, yep, that makes exact sense. And we probably need that done, and you're just going to reply. So that's things that are going to speed it up. We've done a lot, especially at the distributor level, on making it easier to both order and receive parts from most of the major distributors today too. So again, that can be a bottleneck where most of the dealers don't always have the parts in stock that are needed to order it. So making tools easier to get the order in faster, because that's another thing we see sometimes is the dealers sometimes sit a couple days before sending in the part order. And then depending on where the warehouse is, that's going to take X amount of days too. So if we really look at all the different attributes that make up RECT, it's not just one that we can just fix and it fixes everything. Because I think we go back to COVID. Well, the number one thing is they just couldn't get the parts. That's why things sat. They ordered a part and it either was not available or it took weeks to get. Where that's kind of not an issue anymore. So I think we're looking at all these little wins, because we talked about some of these RVs are getting rather expensive. And you get to some places again, like Minnesota, or it could even be Indiana, that like we don't have a large 12-month window to get out in our RVs. And so an extra day or two could mean me missing another weekend in the already short season. So those are some things like that. But I think, yeah, Rob hit it on the head. Like, we are heavily invested in some AI stuff. We're currently launching it more around the major units, to be able to ask questions about, what units have been sitting, or what are my top, what are the top 10 units that I've sold by profit, and all this other things. You can ask just simple questions like anybody that uses, ChatGPT or Claude or any of the AI tools now. It's kind of like the old, your old Google. You try to add, you put in keywords. Now you're just asking sentences, where our next two we're going to look at is parts and service. But again, down the end is you're going to be able to start asking those questions like, what's my biggest bottleneck in RECT on that? And it's literally going to take that dealers. But one of the things with Lightspeed being around for 43 plus years is we have data going back decades that we're able to then train our AI models to answer and ask questions for the dealerships.
Yeah, it's amazing how that is going to shape not only our industry, but all industries, and how we can apply it within our own industry. As we kind of take a broader view of the market, we get these monthly shipment reports down 14%. We have retail registrations, those come out. But what can you tell me as far as what you're seeing on the dealer side? It's not just a broad story, but there are some pockets of good news. I would love for you to share with our audience sort of what you're seeing on the dealer side.
That is a good question. I just literally, our same store sales just came out today, so our dealers are down about 0.7%, so
Okay.
pretty much flat.
Yep.
But service was up across the board for all of our dealers, so they're still doing service work. And we had some pockets, like I'm looking like the Northeast was up 9.6% for sales, but then you go to the West was down about 8.7%. So it depends on where you're at. Me and Rob, along with our data services team, we do dig into a lot of the inventory and kind of see where the dealers are doing right now. Yeah, you hit it on the head with shipments are down. But I still think the dealers have a good mix of inventory. So I don't think, what we're hearing, and the dealers aren't, it's not like they don't have inventory to sell. We work a lot with some of the auction houses, MPA and stuff like that. And I know used has been a big topic. So having a good, mix of used and when to buy it and when not to buy it. Looking at different segments. I think even on the shipments, for some reason, fifth wheels seem to be way down right now is a combination of both new and used. And I don't know if that's a combination because you just need a much bigger vehicle to also pull it with gas mileage too. With that, but I think for the about the year, I mean, we're kind of flat, which is good. If not, it's ahead of what
Pretty
the
good in this
shipments.
market.
It's,
Yeah.
it's way ahead of what the shipments are doing.
Yeah.
We look at our adjacent industries, power sports and marine, which a lot of dealers do carry both. Marine keeps on, I think marine's doing a little better, and actually power sports has been positive for the last couple months. And even some of the publicly traded ones are coming out that they've seen some increases and stuff like that. So, I think everybody's kind of holding. There hasn't been a lot of activity with, a lot of selling and buying that we've seen this year. There's been a handful. I mean, I just read about one this morning, but we haven't seen the acquisitions and the new dealerships going up this year. I just think everybody's kind of watching what's going on. The tariffs are still a thing that have not completely went away by any means. They're better, I think, and a little bit better than they have, but I think obviously, the war is still affecting a lot and mainly gas prices coming in there, and I think people are still waiting to see. But unfortunately, we're kind of now past the peak season, so it'll be interesting to see here in the next couple months where we are, especially with the shipment data to see, especially the next 2 months to see, are we going to hit that 300,000 this year? I
Right.
think that's kind of the goal of everything, and I don't know where that's going to go.
Yeah, it's definitely been an interesting market this year. It's been an interesting cycle for our industry. We've had ups and downs over the last 40 years, but this is definitely a new season for our industry. And thank you for being able to share some insight information and what Lightspeed dealers are doing. That's really helpful. And we're always trying to keep our pulse on the market. Jeremy, Rob, thank you so much for taking some time out with us today on the Supply Side podcast. Thank you to our sponsor, PRVCA. Please, if you're planning on going to the Hershey show and you see this video, buy something when you're at the Hershey's show. And we'll see you guys soon at the RV Dealer Convention coming up here late fall.